All right. So for this segment, I want to talk about some. This was a video. It was more of a stream that I was brought up in. Basically, they were watching my video, and I want to talk about some of those things, particularly address some things, definitely those that I take exception to. So here's the thing. I want to start by saying this: there's no plex between me and Ethan, of course, at all. That can't happen. And there's also no issues with like Comicsgate and my community. You know, they all you have people that are part of that community, that are part of my community, and I've got nothing but love as it stands now for with the Comicsgate community because they've been showing me nothing but love. Nah, that's all. It's all about reciprocity. Let's say that. But in this video, they're watching my video where, and I guess I can give you backstory on that. Thought I mentioned it. I guess I didn't. Maybe in that part of the segment that was uploaded. But on Tuesday night's main event, we were talking about, well, there was some guy who was like, oh, well, it doesn't exist. Riververse stuff doesn't exist. Why you haven't shown a 2-minute trailer and all this other stuff? And, that kind of spurred that segment to kind of look at that and say, this is the process and why I've announced it a year ago and what we've been doing in that process to get us to where we're at now and exactly where we're at. And before I get started and I'm going in on things that I take exception to, for sure, matter of fact, let's go ahead and address that part. John Malin, and whether he's saying that he sees it that way or he thinks other people see it that way, neither here nor there, I guess. Let's just talk about the idea that I apparently have some issue with people crowdfunding their comics. I want to be clear that I'm not going to give anybody the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to say I know where you're coming from. No, I just think you're an unreasonable person if you are to suggest, or not even suggest, say that even though my mouth is moving one way and I say that, I don't have issues with you doing that and that's your model. And if I say that and you basically it requires you to think that I'm being disingenuous when you say, well, I kind of think that you are crapping on people that do stuff like that. Again, I'm not going to give you any leeway for that. That's just a terrible assessment. And that fault is on yours, not me, because I've made it abundantly clear. I explicitly stated you just saying that you don't believe me. Fine. But reiterating that, obviously, I have no problem with people doing that. The fact that people would even think that, considering the amounts of, we've had people on the show who have gone that route. We've commended them from going that route and being able to do certain things. We talked about the crowdfunding element with everybody from Ethan. We talked about that with Shane Davis on the channel. So again, someone to come to that conclusion is stupid, or that conclusion is stupid is more so what I mean directly. But model-wise, for our business model, for what I'm attempting to do, let's say in the comic book space, makes no sense. And just because it doesn't make sense for me, to think that that's somehow a shot at you or people that are doing it a different way, again, is stupid. There's no one size fits all. And I've made that abundantly clear what I'm doing and why exactly it is that I'm doing. It has nothing to do with, well, I don't like that you do it that way. No, it's that I don't have to do it that way, so I'm not going to do it that way. So when we look at like the crowdfunding element of comic books, and there's a lot of people that made a lot of money, and it makes sense for them, definitely if they don't have the upfront cost. And that's going to work for the majority of people who don't have like a pocketbook that or any pool of money that they can reach from of their own and front the cost. So for them, it makes sense for them to go the route. That's the beauty of the Indiegogos of the world. And again, I've talked about this extensively so often. So for someone to think I'm shitting on it when I point to that as a means to show that people can cut out certain middlemen, I don't know why people are going that direction. But it doesn't make sense for me and my business model because two things. Number one, I have to get my audience acclimated and accustomed to doing something. And I want them to be accustomed to when they see the work, when we present it the work, they are able to purchase it and get it in a relatively quick turnaround. Now that, again, model doesn't make sense for some other people, especially because you don't have any idea how many books people are going to buy. So it's a risk. So I'm taking a risk. I'm perfectly fine with that, but it makes sense considering my business model and the fact that I can afford that. So what happens is when people see it, if they're interested, they can purchase it because I'm not obligated to get anybody's dollar, but they see it, they like it, they used to see when we do announce it, bam, purchase it. Okay, quicker turnaround, you get it. Now, if I went the other route and I had to wait for like the pre-orders before I got it printed and all that would really hinder that ability for you to get it. And considering that I'm trying to work towards a spot where, you know, I would love to put out a book a month, but that's down the road. I would love to put out a book a month, not of the same character, obviously, but we got other writers and all of that. We put out a book a month. When we get to that point, it's going to take some time. But in order for, I want to get people used to that. I want to come out with some sort of legitimacy. I want people to understand, like with any other business, you know, hey, I see it, I want it, buy it, own it, and name it a little flip. Now, again, that's not the shit on other people. I can't make that clear enough. But for me, that's what makes sense. I have the cost. And if I am going to have the aspirations of competing with the likes of these guys, that's a model that I'm going to have to adopt at some point anyway. Again, it doesn't matter what your product was. It doesn't matter what it is. Say if I wanted a storefront, it doesn't even matter. That would have to be my model at some point anyway. I'm just wanting to do it right from the get-go because I can afford to do it right from the get-go. So why not? Why not? This goes also applies to me having my own store and us doing our own unique campaign with our programmers and stuff. Got a lot down the pipeline. I can't wait to show y'all with that. But that's the whole idea with that. Now, it was also this idea that, can't remember if it was Ethan or John that said it. Again, there's no love lost between either of those guys. Like I'm delusional about wanting to compete with these guys. And I think that's kind of okay, interesting, and that's fine. You know, this ain't the first time that I've ever been doubted for anything. This isn't my first creative project. People have doubted me long before then, and that's fine. John Mason thinks I'm only going to do 300,000 to 500,000. Said 300,000. He said 300 to 500,000. I'd like to place $1,000 bet that we do more than that, just for a friendly competition. I'm confident that we can. But either way, man, this thing is Marvel and DC doesn't even dominate their own market, and I'm not like mangas that were created 3 to 4 years ago have been dominant, like, are killing them right now, like Demon Slayer and all that. Jujutsu Kaisen. These are relatively new mangas, and they're destroying them right now. Now you can say, well, they got the backing of this company or that company, whatever. It's still new properties. And with the technology, which is the beauty of it all, you get a direct line of sight with your audience. Who's to say? Who's to say we can't get out there and be competitive? But I think people that would dare to claim I'm delusional, their aspirations are different, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I think it more comes to, like, they have what they want to do, and they have what's in their mind, and they have what's in their own trajectory, and that's fine. But where the problem, I guess, if there is the problem, is I don't have a problem with their model. It's more they thinking that I'm taking a shot at them by doing it my way, which, again, is silly. Because it's not. It's not a knock. There's no one way to get it here. It's just my way. This is what I'm going to do. But, you know, considering that, yeah, in-game wise, we want to be competitors, I'm not under any sort of delusion that that's something that's going to happen overnight. And for anyone to even talk like that's going to be the case is, again, moronic. I'm just, for lack of better terms, that's what it is. If you think that I'm under the impression that I'm going to come out with a book and day one, we're just going to be competing, like, that's stupid, man. It doesn't make any sense. And I've never suggested that that was what it was going to be. It's never going to be that way. It's going to be a process. I've said this many times to my audience that most of the people that are watching this video are going to be like, dude, you're repeating what it is that you've already said many times. I know. Bear with me. I'm responding to this because I would love for people that maybe are floating around this conversation to understand more so where it is that I'm coming from. I'm under no delusion that it's going to take time. I think it's faster than what you could do it back in the past, but this is going to take some time to build it up. We got to build a rapport with our audience. We're not obligated to anybody's dollars. So when people look at it and say, or think because I'm saying I'm not showing you something because you can't purchase it yet because we're on the end, the latter half of it, but we're getting there. And don't look at it like, hey, he's still not showing us anything. Look at it like I haven't asked for your money either. And that's the point. I'm not going to show you anything until it's ready to be purchased. And I would never ask for your money if you couldn't. I don't show you anything. Hey, pop my book. I haven't showed you any art, or you don't know who the artist is. Like, that's silly, man. And I think people they think I'm getting ahead of myself. I think they're getting ahead of themselves because they don't seem to understand And maybe it is because they're operating as if my model is someone else's. And that's your fundamental critical error. So when you think that, oh, he's putting the car behind or in front of the horse. No, man, even if I was, whatever. But that's not the case here. It's just I don't have, despite the book being done, there's other things that we have to make sure. Right now, it's really the website is the main thing right now. We're making sure that's lined up and ready to go. And once that's lined up and ready to go, we'll announce it. You guys can get your purchases. We start our journey with the Rippaverse stuff. We get our promotional items, merchandise items, all that stuff. We're getting printed ahead of hand, right? So we can have them, quicker turnaround, bam, you get it, you're ready to rock. We're moving on to bigger and greater things if you like it. That's the model. And we want to keep that going forward. But don't look at that, no matter who it is that you are, don't look at that like that's a shot at you or a shot at your business model because you're not doing what it is that I'm doing. Like, that's stupid because I don't consider what you're doing a shot to me. Why are you considering it the other way? It's not bad because you decide to crowdfund. There's nothing wrong with that, especially considering whatever your financial capacity is. I mean, this is not cheap, man. But sit up there and have someone to pay your artist, to pay your pencil, ink, like that takes money. Let alone to pay you to get it printed. That takes money and time. And some people don't have that starting point, so they have to crowdfund. That's not anything unique to even comic books. That's stuff that's happening in any sort of many startups and smaller businesses. That's the model. And that's what I love about that model. It makes sense for them. Oh, look at that. That's no damn shot, though. That's why when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you can't take it there. Oh, no. You want me to say that. That's all it is. You want me to have this position because you're thinking that no. Even if I explicitly say otherwise, I'm a straight shooter. That's what it is. So big shout out to everybody from any community, Comicsgate, my community, wherever you're from, that's showing love and supporting, ready for this stuff. We're on the home stretch here. We're just building out the functionality for the website so we can make sure that's ready to rock. And once that's ready to rock, man, we off to the races. So I can't wait to show you guys what it is that we have planned. Yes, I know my aspirations up here, and other people's aspirations may not be in the stratosphere where it's at. That's fine. Watch me work. I'm right here. This ain't even on some egotistical shit. This is me being confident in what it is that I'm doing. These are my aspirations. I am going to shoot for the fucking stars within reason. And everything ain't going to sound like something that certain people can grasp. And that's fine. That is perfectly fine. It is understandable, but I'm really excited for what it is that we got going into the future. We're shooting for the moon, baby. Let's do it. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.